Absent qualia. In philosophy of mind, qualia, singular, quale are defined as instances of subjective, conscious experience. The term qualia derives from the Latin neuter plural form qualia, of the Latin adjective qualis meaning, of what sort, or, of what kind, in relation to a specific instance, such as, what it is like to taste a specific apple, this particular apple now. According to philosophers and scientists, examples of qualia include the perceived sensation of pain of a headache, the taste of wine, and the redness of an evening sky. As qualitative characteristics of sensations, qualia stand in contrast to propositional attitudes. In the propositional attitudes, the focus is on beliefs about experience rather than what it is directly like to be experiencing. C.S. Peirce introduced the term quale in philosophy in 1866. However, in 1929 C.I. Lewis was the first to use the term qualia. Frank Jackson later defined qualia as certain features of the bodily sensations especially, but also of certain perceptual experiences, which no amount of purely physical information includes. Philosopher and cognitive scientist Daniel Dennett suggested that qualia was an unfamiliar term for something that could not be more familiar to each of us, the ways things seem to us. The nature and existence of qualia under various definitions remain controversial due to inherent complexity in our definitions of consciousness. Much of the debate over the importance of qualia hinges on the definition of the term. In addition, various philosophers emphasize or deny the existence of certain features of qualia. Some philosophers of mind, consciousness, and even machine consciousness argue that qualia do not exist. Other philosophers, as well as neuroscientists and neurologists, believe qualia exist and that the desire by some philosophers to disregard qualia is based on an erroneous interpretation of what constitutes science. The absent qualia problem is a difficulty that some philosophers have taken to refute functionalism. Functionalism is the doctrine that what makes something a thought, desire, pain, or any other type of mental state depends not on its internal constitution, but solely on its function, or the role it plays, in the cognitive system of which it is a part. According to functionalism, psychological states can be adequately characterized in terms of their interrelationships and the input-output relations of the system to which they belong. But this statement ignores the alleged qualitative character of some psychological states. One example is the taste of lemon and the sensations of pain. If such qualia, defined as individual instances of subjective, conscious experience, is absent or omitted from psychological descriptions, it appears possible for a robot to have functional psychology identical to humans while lacking many experiences humans undergo throughout their lives. Given that this result is unacceptable, functionalism must be rejected. This argument has extensive literature and is often associated with the inverted spectrum problem. If one considers the ROYGBIV color spectrum, suppose that a given object, X, causes it to experience red and B to experience violet, another object, Y, causes it to experience orange, and B to experience indigo, etc. The experienced spectra of A and B are inverted with respect to one another. Yet it appears the verbal reports of A and B would be in agreement, since each has learned to apply the term red to objects like X, and orange to objects like Y. Additionally, A's inner state when experiencing X would play the same functional role as B's despite differences in their qualia, the qualitative, feel, of their experiences. This scenario has been taken by some philosophers to constitute a reductio ad absurdum of functionalism, since functionalism would assign the same content to the functionally equivalent of inner states of both A and B. Absent qualia arguments seek to refute physicalism or functionalism about qualia by showing that, even when all the relevant physical or functional facts are fixed, qualia can still be absent, and hence that the phenomenal is not fixed by the physical. However, an artificial system would be able to experience qualia only if it is able to sustain a high level of information integration. In the domain of machine consciousness (MC) research, designers have to deal with the concept of qualia in order to develop implementations that could be claimed to be conscious. While many AI implementations cover some aspects of a broader picture of cognition, we have not reached the point where human-like conscious machines are possible. In summary, absent qualia problem raises issues of what it takes for artificial systems to experience some form of conscious experience. While it may be speculation, the ability for robots to become conscious may be relied to so-called bioborg. This is essentially a transition from a robot to cyborg. Some argue that if robots become conscious they may desire to be more human, hence becoming biological robots, and the same with androids who might become more human. One can see this as circular motion of directions. Simple analogy is portrayed above as a speculative representation of future scenarios. Thank you for watching.